The clink of my fork against my glass cut through their laughter like a knife. 3 sentences, I said, keeping my voice level. By the second, my mother's face had gone pale. It's funny, when you're born into a family that measures love by usefulness, invisibility becomes your second skin. I was the quiet one, the overlooked one. Birthdays forgotten, achievements dismissed. I learned to watch rather than speak. They thought my silence was weakness. It wasn't. It was reconnaissance. Growing up, my brother Mark was the golden child. My mother poured her affection into him like an endless jug. I got the scraps, if there were any. When I graduated top of my class, she said, "You should thank your brother for setting a good example." That was the day I realized no matter what I did, I'd never be more than an accessory in their lives. But I also realized something else. If they didn't notice me, they wouldn't notice what I was doing. The turning point came 2 years ago, at my father's funeral. I stood off to the side while Mark shook hands with every business contact Dad ever had. My mother stayed glued to her phone, already talking about selling the dead-weight properties. One of Dad's old friends, a man named Reynolds, pulled me aside. "Your father left a few things, sensitive things. You're the only one I trust with them." In that folder was the blueprint for my revenge. Bank records, quiet investments, deeds, and more importantly, the passwords. Dad had kept a substantial portfolio in my name. My mother and brother didn't know. They thought I had nothing. For months, I played my role, the forgotten one. Mark bragged about the business deals he made. What he didn't know was that the anonymous investor keeping his company afloat was me, and I owned 51% of it. My mother sold off properties for cheap. Every buyer? Shell companies I controlled. She thought she was cutting me out. In reality, she was handing me the city block brick by brick. Tonight's dinner was supposed to be a family meeting. Translation, they wanted to lecture me about pulling my weight and not embarrassing the family. Halfway through Mark's monologue about how important he was, I set my fork down. That sound, sharp, metallic, made the whole table look at me for once. 3 sentences, I said. They smirked, thinking I was about to apologize. First sentence, "Mark, as of this morning, I sold my controlling interest in your company to your competitor." His laugh died halfway. He blinked like he didn't understand English. Second sentence, "Mom, those properties you sold for pennies? The buyer was me, and they're now worth 5 times as much." Her knuckles whitened around her wineglass. She stopped breathing for a second. Third sentence, "And just so we're clear, you'll both be receiving formal eviction notices by Friday." Mark shot to his feet, spitting curses. My mother's voice cracked into a shrill pitch. They threw accusations, insults, anything to claw back control. But control was already mine. I didn't shout, didn't gloat. I just watched the realization sink in. The dawning horror that the nobody they ignored had been dismantling their kingdom piece by piece. Mark's company was already signing new contracts under his rival's banner. My mother's assets were locked behind legal protections she couldn't touch. The house they sat in belonged to one of my shell companies. As I stood to leave, my mother's voice trembled. "Why would you do this? We're family." I paused at the door. "You're right. We are family. That's why I let you keep the cars." I walked out into the cool night air, the city humming with life around me. For the first time, I didn't feel invisible. I felt inevitable. They'll spin their stories, paint me as the villain. That's fine. Villains don't need permission to win. They taught me I didn't matter. Now they live in a world I own. And I'll be honest, being a nobody is the perfect cover to become someone unstoppable.